Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Scaring Myself Shitless Halloween edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, directed by Tobe Hooper and starring Marilyn Burns, Gunnar Hansen, and Edwin Neal. So, this is my introduction to the Chainsaw Massacre franchise. I know it's one of those legacy horror franchises today, but it all started with that little 1974 indie horror movie, and so of course, naturally, that's the one that I decided to watch. This is my introduction to the character of Leatherface, and him terrorizing young adults and all that good jazz. And having watched it, I have to say, it's it definitely is a very influential horror movie, to be sure. I'm sure it's not the first horror slasher that's ever existed, but it's definitely one of the most iconic pioneers of that subgenre of horror. And it definitely kicked off this whole idea of a naive group of teenagers or young adults, taking a trip together, going to hang out together, and stumbling across something that shouldn't be stumbled across, and making not the most logical of decisions that lead to very horrific events occurring. um, Countless movies like that these days, and this has the honor, I guess, of being one of the most influential. And it's very much, this is not going to be a long review because it's very much everything that from, your typical slasher movie where it's a group of young adults going up against a crazed maniac with an iconic weapon. In this case, it's, of course, Leatherface with his signature chainsaw. But it's really nothing more than that. It truly isn't. This is a very minimalistic horror movie because it had a it was made with a very low budget with unknown actors. It's only 83 minutes long, and it is pretty much that bare bones slasher horror movie. And with movies like this, I always say in my reviews, it all lies in the execution. I know that I don't just like crap on a movie for telling a story I've seen before. I judge the movie individually, and if it's a familiar story that's executed in a very entertaining and engaging way that I can get behind, I'm all for it. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre does just that. It's a I like how it doesn't have like an abundance of like those tropes that I've come to associate with slasher movies. There's not a bunch, if any. I didn't count any like of those fake out jump scares where it's just like boom, oh wait, no, it's just me, your friend. There was none of that. There was like maybe three actual jump scares total. I like the minimalistic use of sound and the very unnerving sound way this was like mixed and designed. It definitely, uh, got to me at some points. I like, kind of the how like Leatherface and his comrades. Everything's kind of left to interpretation. Um, but it's in a disturbing way because when it's all like exposed and introduced, it's very disturbing, it's very unsettling, but they don't go all out on showing you a bunch of gore or butchered up body parts, or they don't go too far with the implications here. They show you just enough for you to leave the rest of it to your imagination, and I appreciated it for that. So for a minimalistic horror movie that was at the time was made on a very low budget, it makes the best use of it makes the best use of its minimalistic filmmaking aspects. Tobe Hooper did a really decent job with what little he had, and it makes for one of a very classic slasher horror movie. I can't really, praise like there's no phenomenal acting or fantastic performances. The characters themselves are still very tropish and whatnot. You know who exists to, like meet a very unpleasant fate, and you pretty much know where it's all going once it gets going. I didn't find it unpredictable at all. I was like, well, there you go. You pretty much just sealed your fate doing that. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't, an enjoyable little horror movie. The point I'm trying to make is that I really can't, say like, oh my gosh, it's the best slasher movie I've ever seen. That's not true, and I know this is a classic with a massive fan base, but I'm not going to sit here and say that, in my opinion, it is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. I'm not going to go that far with it, but it's a really solid slasher flick. And, for what it was, I had a solid time watching it. And like I said, the main standout here is just that unsettling use of sound. It's very haunting, it's very unnerving, and I'm serious, like it really did get in my head. Everything else around it, entertaining enough, engaging enough, unsettling enough, and I like how again, like there's no like breakdown of what's going on with Leatherface and the other crazy people in this movie. They show you they're depicted, but you have to like kind of figure it out yourself, and I like that. So, wrapping it up, I'm going to give the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 a solid 8 out of 10. Had a good time. It's a very indie, minimalistic horror movie that ended up becoming a worldwide phenomenon. It deserves that acclaim, and I'll be watching it again for Halloween's to come. I've discovered, another hit, because it's my first time watching it, and I don't subscribe to hype culture and all that. I always make up my mind, so I'm glad when I went into Texas Chainsaw Massacre I ended up enjoying it just as much as a lot of other people out there enjoyed. So 8 out of 10 for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This has been another edition, scaring myself shitless edition of Weight Watches, and I'll see you all next time with more Halloween goodness. Peace.